Now, I'm one of the fans of basketball, and I love the game of basketball, but sometimes I think the NBA could have a bit of a marketing problem. Now, I'm not talking about in terms of the game of basketball. We all know the NBA is the league that revolutionized the game of basketball. Just about every country, every continent in the world has some sort of national basketball league. But I think the NBA, they have a marketing problem within themselves. Especially when it comes to small market teams. And what I mean by that, let's say if I was a casual basketball fan and I only watched basketball when it came on national television, I would probably think there's only 7 or 8 teams in the NBA, when in reality, we have 30 teams in the league. And what I mean by that, whenever you see a game on TNT or NBA TV or ESPN, it's usually the same 7 or 8 teams. Is usually the Boston Celtics, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Philadelphia 76ers, any team that LeBron James plays on, but usually only the big market teams get love on national television. Now, one specific problem that I've noticed with that's come to my mind recently is last year, the number 1 overall pick, Paolo Banchero for the Orlando Magic. He had one of the best rookie seasons in NBA history, and not only one of the best, but his rookie season was very historical, and somehow he had 0 national televised games last season. And then we go into this year, right? And this is another problem I have with the NBA and its marketing. The San Antonio Spurs, an organization that's been glorified for 20 plus years. I think they made the playoffs for 20 straight seasons. They had one mid-year, and then the following year, which was last year, they had a quote-unquote tanking season. And after all those years of glories, 5 championships, playoffs every year, the first year that they had a quote-unquote tank year, they get a player that they're calling the biggest draft prospect since LeBron James. They get him when teams like the Detroit Pistons and the Houston Rockets had not way worse, but worse records than the San Antonio Spurs. And somehow, and I might be a little biased here, but somehow my Detroit Pistons fell all the way to number 5. But this is what I mean when sometimes I feel like the optics can control things in the NBA, because Victor Wembanyama, he goes to the San Antonio Spurs, one of the most prestige franchises in the NBA with Greg Popovich. There's no way that all of that is just a coincidence. But getting back to Paolo Banchero, who was the number 1 pick this year, and then we get to Victor Wembanyama, who's the number 1 pick this year and hasn't played a single game yet, and somehow he's gotten 17 national televised games already versus Paolo Banchero, who had 0. And I know most of the time the TV schedule is set before the NBA season starts, but we've seen so many times where certain things has happened, whether it's injuries or teams become really good, where that TV schedule gets changed around, and we will see certain teams or certain matchups get slid into a national televised TV slot. And just to summarize all that stuff I just said, because I am ranting right now and it is a lot, but the argument I'm not trying to make is that Paolo Banchero is better than Victor Wembanyama. My point right now is that when we look at the number 1 overall pick and we look at the NBA draft night, it's one of the hypest nights of the NBA offseason. And I just feel like with the season, and we're going to get into Paolo Banchero's rookie season because it was a great season. It was very historical. I feel like with the way that he was playing, and it started at the beginning of the season. His first game of his NBA career, he had a historical night. So I feel like Adam Silver in the front office, they could have found a way to get the Orlando Magic at least 1 national televised game. We look at the draft class before that with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. Those 2 guys, televised. Even they had a national televised game when they faced off against each other early in the season. And we fast forward to this year, and I know all the hype with Victor Wembanyama. He seems like he's going to be at the bare minimum. He's going to be a defensive monster. He already has 17 national televised games, so that right there just don't sit right with me. And I really think the NBA, they really should be ashamed of themselves for allowing that to happen. And we look at the Orlando Magic, and I know they didn't have the best season, and I know they didn't have the worst season either, but it was a lot better from the season that they previously had. But they were a very competitive team. And one example that I can look at is the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic. I believe they played each other 3 times last season, and the Orlando Magic ended up beating them 2 times. And you can't tell me that the Orlando Magic with the number 1 overall pick, Paolo, Banchero, going up against the Boston Celtics, who were in the NBA Finals last season and went to the Eastern Conference Finals this season. If we had that on ESPN or TNT, that wouldn't have been an entertaining game, especially with 2 out of those 3 meetings being upset. So that's how I'm kind of thinking about it. I feel like the NBA, I feel like they could do a much better job marketing the other 20 teams in the NBA, because if you really watch basketball, 9 times out of 10, every team, unless it's a team that's just tanking on purpose, most of the time those games are very, very entertaining, and you learn a lot about the players in the NBA. But that's my argument here. I just feel like the NBA needs to start showing favoritism, not to just the big market teams, the teams that's generating all that money, but also to the small market teams who have talented players on the team. And I think it can make everyone a lot more knowledgeable about the game of basketball. But nonetheless, regardless of Paolo Banchero being the number 1 overall pick, he also deserved to get some national televised games because he was a really good rookie. So we look at this rookie season of Paolo Banchero, and what makes it so impressive is that he was able to come into the NBA and immediately have an impact on the Orlando Magic. We look at the year before Paolo Banchero came and the year that he arrived. His impact allowed them to win 12 more ball games. Now that's you can't ask for nothing more from your number 1 overall pick when you bring them into the franchise. That's one of the best signs you can have as an NBA organization. And before we get into some of the accolades and some of the things that he achieved during his rookie season, I just want to point out that he was also consistent. A lot of times when we see the new generation of NBA players in their first year in the NBA, they hit something called a rookie wall. But Paolo Banchero, he was really consistent throughout the entire season, and that made opposing teams have to game plan for the best version of himself every single night. So I thought that was also very impressive. And then you look at the numbers are definitely there, which is another reason why I think that he should have had at least 1 national televised game, because he was doing something historical. But we look at his numbers, he averaged 20 plus points per game, 6 plus rebounds per game, and also 3 plus assists per game. Only 12 other players in NBA history have accomplished that numbers, and the NBA has been going on for 50 plus years. I believe it started in like the 1950s or something like that, but the NBA has been around for a very long time, and he was able to achieve something that only 12 other players can say that they've also achieved that. So Paolo Banchero, the numbers was definitely there for him to get more televised games, but also the skill set is there as well. He's something we've never seen before. He's 6'10", a lean 250 pounds, and he can literally offensively beat you from every area on the court. Now, his 3-point shot isn't as consistent as we would want it to be right now, but it's something you still have to respect. He can knock down the 3-point shot. I really like what he can do when he puts the basketball on the floor. He has the ability. You go look at his highlights throughout his rookie season. There's so many clips of him breaking down guys that's smaller and some of the quicker players in the NBA. He's able to break those guys down off the dribble. He has the hezzy to his game. He has the tween cross. He has the behind the back. He has just about every dribble move you can do. Mind you, he's 6'10", 250 pounds. So he has the ability to take guys off the dribble, get to his mid-range pull-up, or he can get all the way to the basket. And what makes Paolo Banchero so special is that he also has tremendous post game, and he has great footwork. He can really operate out of the post. That's probably my personal favorite part of his game because it's so nice to look at. But he has the drop step, he has the up and under, he has the post span, he has a soft touch around the rim, and he can also overpower you because once again, he's a lean 250 pounds. So he's one of those guys who's going to have the opportunity in the NBA to become a legit matchup nightmare because I say this about Zion Williamson all the time. It's like, who can you put on him? Who's the right defender? We see him breaking down smaller guys on the perimeter. So do we want to put one of our bigger players out there on the perimeter and hope that they can stay in front of him? Or do we want to put one of our smaller, quicker guys on him where he also can take it down to the low post and he can dominate on the block? So Paolo Banchero, we've never really seen this type of skill set before. Just a 6'10" guy who plays the power forward position, and he has a legit handle on the basketball, but he also has post work. So I think his potential written all over him. And the Orlando Magic, when they was drafting him, they were looking for their new offensive engine, and that's exactly what they got. But that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. I think Paolo Banchero, I think he definitely should have got at least 3 national televised games last year because he has game. He was a very productive rookie, and he was the #1 overall pick. But nonetheless, still a good season for him. Definitely a good season for the Orlando Magic, and I'm definitely going to be tuning into their games next season. But that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, and do not forget to join the Discord. The link will be in the description and also in the comment section, and that's curtains.